So if we look at the lorica from a sort of metallurgical point of view, so what are the three main metals that we used in the fabrication of this armour? So I'll come in a bit closer again for this. And so you've got obviously iron, steel, which is the metal bands here, but then equally you've got bronze, which are the hinges, so the hinges are made of bronze, and then you've got the rivets, which are copper. Interestingly, there is an electrolytic reaction between copper and iron, which means that it can start to corrode because of that reaction between the two metals. So therefore, it is important for the Romans to keep the armor clean. But why did they use copper rivets? Well, because copper is a more malleable, which means soft, metal, and so therefore, from an armourer's point of view, and it was quite useful because you could just hammer these out, or push them out and replace them very easily. Whereas if you used an iron rivet, which is the same method as this, it's a lot more rigid and it would tend to shear off or break. And because it was harder, it would also damage the armour on removal. So you'd end up gouging a massive hole, where you only had a sort of a smaller hole, just enough for the rivet there. So obviously by using copper, softer metal, easy to replace. So again, that shows a lot of forethought has gone into the design of this armour. It's not a haphazard design or just using whatever you came across. And so the use of these three metals was critical to the success of this armour. The hinges are quite important as well. These are an interesting component part because they allow movement of these two flaps here that are on the front and back. And that movement again is important because the body, it gives you a full range of motion with your arm. The fact that these plates rise, they understood that if you were to raise your arm and to brandish your sword over your head or your shield, you couldn't do that if this was rigid, if this was a single band, a single piece. And so therefore this hinge allows it to move and give you that movement. So, and again here with the chest plate on the front here, so this collar plate here, this would have come down to the high part of your chest, that's also got a hinge on it. Reading it, when I was doing the research for this, I actually found a lot to suggest that the hinges were quite weak on these armours and were often replaced. So again, that is an interesting detail. But if we can look inside as well, we can see the rivet work because I quite like that detail. And here you've got a washer holding in, and there's a bronze rivet there, but then copper rivets further down. So for the anchor points, it looks like we've used bronze, but there for the component parts, they've used copper. I need to actually contact the makers of this armour and find out why they've actually done that, because it would be interesting, whether that is an actual detail that they found on real armour or whether it's something that they found and they've had to use. But yeah, you can see all the different anchor points. So for here, the buckle, so we've got the buckle on the front, and you can see the rivets on the inside which have been hammered flat. Again, those are bronze rivets. So, yeah. There you go. Some of these are actually decorative as well. You've got the rose here. These roses are actually found on Roman helmets as well. And so this seems to be quite an important detail, or a consistent detail in Roman armoury. So for helmets, as you find them on the helmets and on the body armour.